So today I'm gonna take you on a graffiti walking tour through Soho. It's currently a pandemic right now. It's a NYC lockdown. All the businesses are closed. It's very apocalyptic. Like there's no one out. Very few cars driving by. I have a lot of memories in Soho, you know, hanging out, and so yeah, let's cruise around, check out these ghostly streets. This is an artist. He used to carve in the 80s. He used to carve into the sidewalk. His name was Ken Haratsuka, I believe. Ken Rock, they'd call him. I met him one time. A really cool guy. I have a photo of him doing a sidewalk for one of the Goldman property buildings. But yeah, there's a bunch of these in Soho. I don't know how many people actually like point them out as far as history goes with the street art and graffiti stuff, but this guy was a real pioneer. It's dated 1984. A lot of history down in Soho. It's an original CO, KRT. CO and Revs like pretty much dominated down here at one point. These are some really old gates. I mean, this is what Soho used to look like. It used to just be like crushed gates with like tags and throw ups, and there was a lot to see. Now it's pretty cleaned up, but I mean, it's cool when stuff like this resurfaces. Like some of these tags go back to like the 90s. You could see where it's painted black, and whatever they're doing to this building, they're obviously like doing some renovations for a business coming in or going. They power washed this black buff on this pillar right here, because I remember when this was new, and there's a rate. This guy, he used to paint the rats. You could see the rat underneath. Rate, that he was a really well-known writer in the early 2000s, and those rats were everywhere. And then this guy SI, he came and went over it, but I mean, this is like a time capsule from 2002, 2001 maybe. Post 18 and 323. One of my favorite movies was Ghost in 1990 with Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg. And the scene in the movie Ghost this is where Sam got murdered. This is where they were struggling against the gate. And then you could see in the movie that same fire escape was actually down. And then he gets shot. He gets shot like right here. And then he runs, like his ghost runs after the guy that shot him.
Sam, stop it!
I can honestly say I started really taking pictures of graffiti in Soho, in all the parking lots. Like on dead weekend mornings, on quiet weekend mornings, I'd walk up and down the streets and go into the parking lots. I mean, they were just like filled with pieces and throw-ups, and when you looked up top and like really in the back in the cut, like really faded tags, and I didn't even know what half of them even said. And that's how I learned, though. This is another really famous gate, Church Street Surplus. It's an Army Navy store. But I think the original gate was painted by High Five. Because I remember he had a tag on it, but it's all covered up now. But it's cool that they didn't just completely buff it, you know? Like, I love there were so many iconic gates down here with like the old paint. This is another iconic spot. I think this place is gonna get closed soon. I think they're gonna knock this down. West Side Coffee Shop. This is a private dog park. I only, like, maybe a year ago, I stumbled upon this. I'm like, what's going on here? It's crazy. But they kept the wall. There's a class, KLASS, original class piece. Dude is pretty legendary. And there was an Omni piece. I don't know, you can barely make it out through the fence, but I'll show you the original picture. I mean, it's still on the wall. You remove all this stuff, you can still see the piece, and it's holding up pretty well. I mean, that's been there forever. It's a tribute to Safe-Snow. It's on top of the Deitch Gallery space, Jeffrey Deitch. If you're not familiar with him, look him up. His history is pretty extensive. Actually, on any given day, I don't know about now, but he sits in the window, which is pretty funny. I wish I could have that for the video, but he sits in that chair right there, and he sits on the computer. Like he wants people to see him up there. I saw some really great shows in this space. Actually, yeah, the Dash Snow, when they did The Nest, that was a pretty amazing show. So this is Houston and Broadway. Real famous intersection. I mean, to my nostalgia of actually being there was a DKNY billboard painted. And I mean, this corner was so famous. There was like a fruit stand. And I have photos of when they actually painted over the DKNY billboard because I just thought that was really historical. And on the top floor of this building, the door is on Broadway. There was a business called Pseudo, and Pseudo was like, honestly, Pseudo was the guy who started Pseudo was ahead of the game when it came to social media and like the way we work with the internet today and technology. That guy was like 5 years ahead of the game. But they used to have parties up there. The Pseudo parties were really, I mean, the Pseudo parties were really legendary. Early 2000s. They had raves up there, hip-hop parties. I mean, everything was real primitive too. I mean, he had a whole room just like people working on computers, and the technology was so primitive at the time. But yeah, I remember, I mean, I had a friend that was kind of an in-house guy allowed to like live in there. He was partially like squatting in there, but they let him live up there and watch over the place. His name was Eric. And I remember the last days, like they turned the electricity off, and I went up and chilled with Eric, and so this is an original Barry McGee twist when he used to do the screws, and it's really hard to see. It's really faded. I'll see if I have a better picture of it. But he used to have, these used to be pretty common. He used to have a bunch of really great spots. I don't know, in you know, in New York City, I don't think there's many left of these. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment if you like this video, and I'll catch you on the next video.